Hi, my name is Sandy Kemsley, as I said, and I'm a geek. But if I weren't an engineer, I would probably be a chef or a food writer, because those are things that I both have a lot of passion for. So I really wanted to talk about how you can use a lot of ground root social media thing to help promote any community effort that you might have. So I brought together my technical background, all the social media stuff that I'm already doing, like Twitter and Flickr and YouTube and Facebook and all that other kind of stuff, and what I like to do with food, which is cook it and eat it. And from there, went on to look at what we were doing in our neighborhood with the farmers market. So this year in the spring, and I live in the Queen West area, not that far from here, and we were starting a new farmers market on the site of where an old farmers market was over 100 years ago. So it was kind of exciting to have one back in the neighborhood. Now the Ontario government, Farmers Market Ontario, brings in the farmers, but the local volunteer committee has to be the marketing team. So they have to promote the market in the neighborhood. Now, when this first started out, they were doing the traditional kinds of things. Let's send out some email blasts, get an email list, let's go to Facebook. But that's like so one way. Even the Facebook stuff isn't as interactive as it should be. So it was really a lot of one-way broadcast stuff, which I didn't really like. And I knew that there was some way, like I'm not a marketer, I'm a techie, but I know that there's some way to bring all the social media stuff in. And of course, the answer to this, as it is to many other things these days, is Twitter. And so at that point, we got into, well, what can we do with Twitter? How can we bring Twitter in to help move this stuff along? And so we had at St. Andrew's Market, Twitter came up, and we started to look at how we could use Twitter for a social media aspect in there. Now what happened then is, so we started the Twitter account, and I started looking at, well, how am I going to update all this? Now luckily I have a really geeky husband too, and so what he did is he wrote some Python script for me, because I don't do Python, and so he wrote some Python script that allowed me to create, this photo is the reason he's not here tonight. So he wrote a Python script that would do auto tweeting, so all I had to do was do a whole list of tweets, and it will send out on a schedule now, and then I can augment that with live tweets whenever I happen to be on there. Now the big thing, of course, is I have my market messaging delivery framework that he created for me, is what do you put on there? So the content is the big thing. So with content, I started out with, here's the farmers that are coming, and here's the produce that they're going to be having, and isn't this going to be great, and we're all excited about it. And then started to get some feedback, started to get some other people joining in. So we saw a number of people starting to follow us, a lot of people in the neighborhood, but also the chicken farmers of Ontario, who knew? Cheese boutique, local restaurants, all kinds of things like that. And then the critical moment for me was when Amanda Laird, or as I knew her as @Amanda Laird, wrote a blog post about a potato salad that she made based on all the stuff she bought at her first day at the market. She was so excited about it. I saw this because I saw it on that Twitter because she replied, and it was great. So I blogged about it. I made the salad. It was really good. And then it's like, okay, now we're getting some social things around here. We had pictures. We have 450 pictures in our Flickr pool of everybody who's contributed things. I then went out and started to participate in other conversations. There's lots of stuff being written now about 100-mile diets and local produce and farmers markets and everything. So I would go out on these things like this CBC article, write a comment, direct people to the market, and then people would say, oh, cool, I didn't even know there was a market there. Well, then, of course, I started cooking because I'm at the market every week. I'm buying all this stuff. I hadn't baked a pie in years, and I baked a cherry pie. And then, of course, when I start doing that, inevitably leads to blogging. And so it's, because that's just how I work. So then I wrote about it, and I did this whole Flickr photo series of how I made the pie. And all of this now, the blog posts, when I write these blog posts, they get tweeted out to the market account because I have Twitter feed pushing them through the market account. But I also feed them out to my own Twitter account, and I have about 900 followers. So you start to get all of these other things going on. And with just using nothing that cost me anything, doing things I would already be doing, leveraging a bit of my own social capital, all of a sudden we had like 2,000 people who were reading this stuff. Now the zucchini flowers is the best story because I went to the market, I bought these zucchini flowers, I'd been looking at them every week, and it was like, oh my God, they look really good. I stuffed them with ricotta and herbs, fried them. They were so good. And then I blogged about it and tweeted about it, and all these people sent me their things about what they did with zucchini flowers. I went back the next week, they sold out of zucchini flowers. It's amazing. So now you can do all this stuff to put it together. Everybody thinks I spend so much time on this, but I don't, because I have that whole sort of system set up to make this easy. It's just the stuff I was going to be doing anyway. I was going to be buying stuff at the market. I was going to be writing about it. I was going to be cooking it and eating it and all that sort of thing. So it's just like, I'm out there in the community doing this stuff anyway, and then it's a matter of starting to write about it and starting to get out there and have some conversations about it. And that's the key thing, is to take those things that you have a passion for, those things that you're doing anyway, and turn that into a conversation in order to help promote something in your community, like in this case, this community market. Now, social media isn't the only part of what we do. We also do sandwich boards and flyers and all kinds of other things. And if you live in the neighborhood, you probably got one of those flyers in the mail. But that's become an integral part of what we do. So get out there with your social or with your community projects and have a conversation. Thank you.